So I had this sort of vague idea I wanted to go into banking, and I'd really wanted to go into the United Nations. And for me, because coming from an international background, I thought United Nations that was the coolest place to be, and I got to meet lots of people and travel around the world and get involved in all these political and economic issues going on. And a very good friend of my father, who was a senior British diplomat, said, look, the age of diplomacy is dead. There's this thing called the phone and email and all these other things that have basically killed diplomacy. The job of an ambassador now is redundant. I'm sure he's not completely right about that, but it's much less important than when it used to take 3 months to deliver mail to India or whatever the case might be. So the diplomacy, he said, had fundamentally changed. And so that got me thinking about what else could I do which had a strong international bent. And so international banking was, I think, the second best thing. And so I asked a friend of mine, I said, give me the name of the best English bank and the best American bank. And he said, JP Morgan is the best American bank. And the coolest thing about JP Morgan at the time was that they sent us off to New York for 6 months and paid us a New York wage at the time, which was a small fortune compared to what we were earning in London. And I got to live in New York on 70th and Madison, one of the smartest parts in New York. And I got to be paid to do an MBA. I was being taught by professors from Cornell, New York, NYU, Harvard, Columbia. I was getting paid to attend a 6-month financial MBA, living in the smartest part of New York. I mean, what's not to like about that? So, on a more serious note, people talk about luck and opportunity and all these kinds of things. And what I've always tried to do, and I think this is how you create luck, is to put yourself in a position where you have the most amount of optionality going forward from a career point of view. And I knew that with a training course from JP Morgan under my belt, then I was employable by pretty much any bank, because it was so well regarded at the time, and it really was a AAA bank. It was technically a AAA bank, and it was a blue chip. It was a blue chip bank, and it was a very, very fine institution. And the training course was very highly regarded as well. So with that training and that pedigree, I knew that gave me a lot of optionality and flexibility in my career going forward. So that was really the thinking about behind JP Morgan.